Welcome, everybody. Thank you for joining me today for this journaling session. I am really excited to get through this because I think right now, with everything going on in the world, plus dealing with our normal lives, the unpredictable can really throw us off track. And so, what we're going to do is, I'm actually going to talk a little bit about emotional safety because that's where I really want to go with this. And then we're going to do some journaling together. So, first, before we actually get into emotional safety, if your unpredictability is due to physical safety, I highly encourage you to go get help. There is help available. You do not have to deal with whatever physical unsafeness, if that's a word, that you are dealing with. So please get help if you need help. I will actually put links in the description to resources to go get help if you are not physically safe. So with that, let's talk about emotional safety during unpredictable times. So the biggest aspect I actually want us to approach this from is how our brain is reacting, and then because of that, how our nervous system reacts. Our brain likes consistency, it likes predictability, it looks for affirmation that everything is the same. So, when things are unpredictable and life is throwing stuff at us, our brain has to shift out of its normal state. It goes into overworking, panic, and just kind of it turns into a hot mess itself, which causes us to begin to be more hyper vigilant. The more that your life is unpredictable and it doesn't get that break, the more that your brain and then your nervous system just takes over and acts like everything is a problem. Everything is unsafe. So, what we have to do is take the time to convince our brain and our nervous system that we are okay. In addition to that, we can feel like we have lack of control. When things are coming at us that we don't have any control over, it puts us into this state of thinking we have control over nothing, which isn't true because we do have control over how we respond. And that is something that's really critical to hold on to because without some sort of sense of control, it escalates what the brain is already doing. That hypervigilance, that panic, that overwhelm kicks in even more. And finally, our brains are designed to look at the negative. That is how we stay alive. So when we have a series of events that are continually throwing stuff at us, our brain is focused only on those because that's how it survives. And what happens is even after the fact, let's say you had a really traumatic situation and it's been 5 years, your brain and your body and your nervous system think it's still going on. And so, what it is craving is that calm down stability. So, with that, with those ideas in mind for emotional safety, we are going to journal about ways that we can prepare for things that are unpredictable coming at us and at the same time reset our brain and nervous system. So let's go through our journal prompts. So the first thing I want us to look at is how do I react when things are unpredictable? What we are looking for here is patterns. When we know our historical patterns, we can plan how to adapt in the future. In fact, it has actually been shown by reviewing the past, we can move through it faster and be better. So a lot of people like to leave the past in the past, but it is very beneficial to dive in and understand what's going on. So really figure out how you react when something unpredictable comes to you. So for example, let's say your car breaks down. What do? Is it immediately panic or do you immediately just handle it? Really dive into what happens from the moment it won't start. What's that first thought? What's your body doing? What's your emotional reaction? When do you get to game planning how to solve it? The more that you understand what your default operating system is, the easier it is to make those shifts going forward. From there, pick one situation that you've had, preferably recently, that was unpredictable, and I want you to start exploring it. So, what was the fear around it? When your car broke down, what was your fear, panic moment? So, as an example, I actually did this last night in preparation. So 3 years ago, I moved from Dallas up to Pittsburgh. And while we were driving that distance, my car started having problems. It ended up being a transmission issue that was a known issue on my car type. But during a cross country move, it was a little stressful. And so my fear around that particular issue is that I would be stranded with my son with a car full of stuff that we were moving for, and I wouldn't be able to get to a dealership. We'd be on the side of the road. My brain went to the absolute extremes. I wouldn't get him to school on time, like you name it. And so once you've understood those fears, then go to the next question, and what do I feel like I have no control over? So in the example I'm sharing with you, I felt like I had no control over when my car wouldn't work. So it would stall sometimes and it would work great sometimes. And so my fear was that I literally had no idea what to do with it. And before I had left, I actually took it to a mechanic. They couldn't figure out what it was. And so that was how I felt out of control. And so the next thing you want to do is look at how can I reclaim control. Now, in the moment, you might not completely be able to reclaim control, but you can even look at this from past as far as how can I reclaim control the next time it happens. Going back to that, let's study what's going on. So how could I reclaim control? Since none of the mechanics could figure it out, I started researching it. While we were moving, I just took more breaks with the car. We stopped more often because it was after it had gone for a while. And then I was actually the one who kind of figured out what the issue was and then took it to the mechanics. They figured it out then. So with that, the next question, what is my plan for when something unpredictable happens? Once you've understood your default, once you understand how you kind of function in those unpredictable moments, you want to figure out what you can put in place to handle it the next time. So in my particular case, it was pull over and do more deep breathing versus sitting there panicking about the car. Walk it out. You might take a totally different situation. Maybe the electricity goes out. Like this is a reschedule from when our electricity went out. So what I actually did that day when I realized I could not have a live is I sat down, I meditated, I took a walk to really regroup, refocus, and replan my day. So figure out how you are going to handle the next unpredictable event. And finally, ask yourself, what can I do now to recover from past events? Our body still needs to emotionally calm down. Our minds need to reset. We need to process what happened in order to release it and move forward. So take some time to figure out what you do need. Is it more journaling time? Is it meditation time? Is it Reiki? Do you need to go to a therapist? Was it really big enough that you need to go get extra help processing it? Create an actual plan on how you are going to allow yourself to emotionally recover from that particular situation. So, with that, we are going to journal. We're going to journal for 10 minutes and then we can chat at the end. I will answer any questions you have. Now, I do want to say before we get to the journaling, this is a really big topic, especially the more intense your unpredictable moments have been. So 10 minutes is probably not going to be enough. Last night when I was doing my journaling practice round, I journaled for probably about 45 minutes. Now, if you don't have the time in your regular day to do a 45-minute sit-down session, do 10-minute blocks. 10 minutes over time adds up to a lot of time. So give yourself time to work through this and let's get to journaling. So I am going to start here. We have a 10-minute clock. I'm going to turn on some music while we journal and then we'll be back. So let's get started. All right, that was 10 minutes. Let's go ahead and finish up what you were writing. And if you are actually in flow and want to keep writing, keep going. If this is after the live, go ahead and hit pause or even rewind at the 10 minutes and continue to use that music. So I want to share just a little bit about what I was journaling about while you're finishing up. And then if you have questions or want to share, I'm here. So I did actually a continuation of last night's session since I did it as a practice session. And what I realized is I still own the car and I actually haven't processed all the emotional stuff from it. So every time I get in and have to go anywhere, there's a little bit of that panic still there. And so I game planned how I was going to recover from that. Did a very little brief exploration of, do I just sell it and get a new car? That didn't quite fit with how I normally function from a financial perspective. I'm the buy a new car and drive it for 10 years type of person. And it is only on year 8.5. So it still has a year and a half before it is available to be swapped out in my head. So I explored that. And then I explored, how do I process this emotional trauma? And then I actually worked through, what if I was driving it on another very long trip? And how would that function? Because I have actually been renting cars when I've been doing long trips since then. So that's what I did, really processing that next step of, okay, how do we emotionally get past this? And I left it with, it might be time to try it going out. I also determined I need to do some tapping and visualization and trauma processing around it. So I'm going to do that too. So I would love to hear how your session was. Do you have any questions? Did anything really jump out at you? And if not, great. If you're watching this after the live, I would still love to hear what you got and what you're doing to move forward. You can drop your comments below. If you found this helpful, I would really appreciate a like. That absolutely helps my channel here on YouTube, and subscribe if you want to catch the next ones. It's free and it also helps the channel, which I greatly appreciate. So it looks like we don't have any questions or shares right now. So I'm going to go ahead and close out, and thank you guys so much for joining me, and have a fabulous day.